All right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Reader. So I'm going to do another look at GWAV as you see here. We'll take a quick look at SoundHound, and then I'm going to take a look at AI. Looks like something is happening after hours. Seems like it's earnings, and we're still going a little bit back and forth on the Discord. Can't really tell if they're good or not. Maybe it was the guidance. I'm going to see what I can see on my phone as well, kind of live during that video. All right, so GWAV. I'm obviously going to talk about the technicals, and really the 50 moving average is the big story here. It was the big story on my last video, and I kept saying I just didn't trust the lines yet, you know, and I'm going to go over that again and what that kind of means to me. But look, I know there's a lot of hype about a squeeze here. I know 1 billion plus shares on a single daily candle is crazy. And to do that and more for 4 days out of what, 6? Like, that's next level, right? I asked a bunch of viewers about like the details of why and this and that. I'll go over some of the stuff that I got. But yeah, GWAV, to me, this is a good example of why the lines really are what I live and die by. You know what I mean? SoundHound. So with SoundHound, I kept saying this thing just needs to get over. It needs to escape the moving average. It's actually the same 50 moving average story if you really look at it, right? But instead of going up and breaking, we have actually started to slip below, right? And those are still kind of dojis, right? And I'll talk about that a bit, but I think there's some reason to get concerned, I think, to say the least, right? And then AI, taking a look at C3 AI, I feel like it's been a long time since I've taken a look at this thing. You can see it already. Wow, we're already up there, right? If I go into post-market, it's not the biggest of numbers. We're obviously not like, I mean, I say that kind of smiling and joking, right? Because really a 7% move on a single day is actually a really big number. It actually is, right? But when you see the crazies of crazies on other tickers, it humbles a good number to say that as educated as I could, right? So yeah, I'll do my best to cover all 3 of these today on this video. But before we do go any further and I give you more of my thoughts and opinions, what are we going to do? Same thing we always do, right? We'll take a look at the daily and the weekly to see how these things are setting up short term. We have our 5 moving averages. There are horizontal support and resistance lines that I do draw manually myself. And then when we are done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. Hey, really quickly, please, if you can subscribe to this channel, if you can share this video, oh, it does wonders for the algorithms, all right? Even if you don't, though, just being here and giving me your time, oh, it's very, very much appreciated, all right? So let's get into GWAV. And before I get into the lines and the technicals, I want to talk about the fundamental news, right? So I basically asked what was going on, right? Like, I couldn't have asked it any simpler than that, right? I started the video with it. I'm going to say it again. There are stocks that will never, in a month of full trading, in an entire full month, they will never get to 1 billion shares traded. To do that on a single daily candle, to do that once, twice, 3, 4 times in a 6-day window, that's beyond next level. This thing was actually really close to, did it actually even get over on that? Yeah, this thing was close to over 1.5 billion, half a million is a crazy number, and that's kind of where we're at even today, right? So volume's been crazy, and on almost any stock, I would say, hey, volume is king, volume is queen for my ladies out there, and let's load and go, right? But I really wasn't trusting this, all right? Look, you can see MACD was good with the green over red. RSI had the green over red. RSI was at a healthy number too. Normally, when all 3 are clicking and we make that kind of move, I get excited. But I kept stressing I didn't trust something, right? And what was it? It was this 50 moving average, all right? So as I zoom out, since this right here, since that little moment right there, and really as I back up, I would even say since this day right here in February of this year, this is probably the only good green candle over that red line, over the 50 moving average. We then do a couple insignificant greens, pretty much a whole mess of red till we lose it and then some, right? So to me, I see a very, very difficult 50 moving average line. as I keep zooming out, really since December of 21, this thing has been well under that red line. You can pretty much easily see the red line in that view right there, right? It's actually pretty much under all of them at some point. You throw in a 1 for 300 reverse split. There's just things I don't like in this quick little view, right? So I was hesitant. Also, look, I have two different greens here. All right, not all good is equal. Okay, there is some good, and then there's just some like all rightish good, right? Like if I buy a scratcher and I win a free ticket, that's way different than buying a scratcher and the winnings gets me a free house, right? Like one is good, one's hey, at least I didn't lose, I guess, right? And when I look at this candle, all right, most people are going to get excited because you're over the line because it's a good green day, but no. This day, if you look in the box over there, actually opens at 21 and falls all the way down to 15. More people probably lost 25%, right? 5555. More people probably lost more than 25% than they actually made any green day, all right? This is the same thing. It opens up here, comes down here. Lo and behold, we fail horribly, right? So you just can't assume, and you need more to believe, all right? I'm sorry, my cat's at the door. This has been happening a lot more regularly. What are you doing? Oh, she's at my wife's door. She's trying to go outside. That's a bad kitty. She's super loud. So yeah, where are we now? Look, we're now at a place where volume's starting to turn around a little bit to me. All right, we're clearly. And let me just, before I say the word clearly and go on, okay? You can't make a crazy, horrible assumption on a single candle. I say that going up and I say that going down, right? I basically said that right here going up, and I'm saying the same thing going down, right? To me, and I think I don't know if my video is right here or right here, but again, same difference, right? We are now staring at a stock that is under all 5 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? We're looking at a stock that is way too close to all-time lows, all right? I'm going to put this line here, but I'll be honest with you, that's a pretty insignificant line. That, in all honesty, is probably the line that matters. That's actually what I'm going to keep. So in my opinion, GWAV tomorrow must, and I mean must, come back up to 7 cents. All right. Now, that's going to be a 50% jump from today to tomorrow. And if it happens, I could see a lot of people maybe getting excited in this. Listen to me. That's a fake. That's a, okay. How do I say this? Sometimes there are big numbers that make you assume that there's more, and then sometimes there are some real big mover numbers. I'm not saying it well, but like just because it gets over that 7, it's not going to make me believe. I think I think this is the easiest way to say it. I would not touch this stock under 10 cents. Now I wish there were more decimals, but look, 9 is basically right there. That's 10, and then I'm going up to there. So if I had to guess, maybe it's 0.103-ish, give or take. I need to get over that, and maybe it's even, oh wow, 11's right there. I would wait till 11 cents, all right? So that's what I would do. I had it initially up here at 14. Clearly, we failed that initial go I was hoping for, to go from 14 to 22. I think for now, I would get in at 11 if that break of 11 looks good, and believe me, that's a hard line. That is, because you have to get over 3 moving averages to get there, right? To me, you can't even think about 11 unless we get over the 7. If we don't get over 7, I imagine we're going to lose this candle. I imagine we're going to go into 4 cents. We're going to go lower, and then that's going to be all-time lows, all right? This RSI, it's been lower. This thing, it wasn't that long ago that this RSI was at 12. What are you right here? 16. What are you right here? That's an RSI of 7 in March. We're in still May, right? So this thing knows how to go low, come up, come low, come up. I'm worried that it's going to come back down to this 26 range. And that's a good ways down, and that could be bad, all right? So this must come back over 7, because really, if I had to guess too, that 8 moving average is probably going to start getting into the 7-cent range as well, right? As it sits right now, if you're looking in the box right now, it's 9, but the slope is starting to get pretty exponential, and I'm taking a guess, right? If we just hold the slope, we're coming into 8. If it decides to go just a little bit steeper, you know, to something like that, it's not that much for it to get into that 7-cent range, right? So overall, I'm actually more nervous than I was on my last video. On the last video, I was basically, hey, I don't trust this thing. I needed to prove more. Right now, I'm worried that this is going to fall into the black hole vortex of all-time lows. I'm expecting it to just lose chunks and chunks of double digits, unless we can recover a big moving average very, very quickly, all right? So, did I talk about the fundamental news? Man, I think I jumped into it. Oh my goodness, I think that's what happened. I think my cat messed that up. So, I don't know if I talked about the debt. I don't think I did. So, a lot of the viewer comments were about 2 things. Number 1, the company being debt-free. Number 2, the CEO buying shares. On the first one, on the debt-free comment, that is 100% a really good thing. I know I'm a basic level educated human, right? I'm not some like finance PhD or some like, you know, e-com master. No, right? But like, yeah, if you're a debt-free company, that's a good thing for sure, right? There is no assumption that being debt-free is going to automatically turn you into profit. From there, there's also no assumption that you're not going to go back into debt because you just came out of it, right? There's a lot of like things that still need to happen, and as good as that sounds, like I said, I need the lines to break before I'm going to let the news take over my emotions, right? For the CEO comment, I'm going to say 2 things. Number 1, the CEO has a much better salary than me. The CEO can afford to lose a lot more trades than I make and still live a much better life and eat much better food than I can. All right. So it's really important to take that into consideration whenever you're looking at someone buying, right? Because it doesn't matter when they buy. It matters what they can afford to lose and what you can, right? So just kind of keep that in mind. The debt-free for sure was good news. It for sure was. I get it, right? It just wasn't enough to break the 50 moving average. That's my technical answer to that. You know what I mean? So, hey, let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Man, that ran a little longer than I expected, but let's take a look at SoundHound. So SoundHound, it's interesting because one thing I very much said the last time I covered this was, hey, if NVIDIA does well, SoundHound should do well, all right? Clearly, NVIDIA did well. NVIDIA did that, right? That basically happened on the 21st, 22nd, right? SoundHound on the 20th, 21st, you can see it. It was close. It was close. And instead of doing that curve up, this thing did the curve down. And yeah, it's an easy thing for me to say I was wrong for sure, right? And kind of an ironic place for me to say, hey, if you can subscribe and share, it does wonders. But yeah, I am surprised, and I am actually a little bit on the shock side that we're doing the complete polar opposite of NVIDIA, right? As I look at QQQ, this thing's still going up, right? Since that 21st, 22nd, it's not the prettiest, but it's actually going up, right? As I look at NASDAQ, it's obviously the same thing as QQQ, right? That's should be something you thought, right? But it's still going up. It's definitely not the down of that, right? And then I don't know what the Russell looks like. The Russell's not something I look at all the time. The IWM is what I look at. Okay. We're at least, it's not a good thing, obviously, but hey, we're mimicking the Russell, and I think that would make sense, I guess, a bit on SoundHound. But yeah, again, I think the bigger answer really is I was wrong. I for sure assumed good NVIDIA, a good gap up like that and 4-day continuation on NVIDIA. I can easily say I would have expected the complete opposite of that. So yes, I repeated that a bunch of times, but I had to, right? I always say I'm a little bit louder on my mistakes. We're now at a place where it seems like we're losing moving averages, and I don't know what to think of it in some ways, but as I look at it a little bit more and more, I think there's a little bit of a picture, right? So this candle right here actually does put us under the 50 and the 8. Doji doesn't count, and you can argue that that's the confirmation and the follow through after the doji. We're clearly under both the red candle and the green candle that was lost. That's kind of saying I lost these two lines. From there, these three really are way too doji to say that we've lost the 20 moving average. But just like I said, hey, losing this candle made me think some stuff. We're actually well below 50%, and you can see it. I mean, we're pushing probably 90% lost on this thing right here, right? So this is a worrisome candle for sure. Now, I'm still going to try to cover it after. Just in case I don't, I'm going to put it in right here. AI is popping. AI is popping, and I haven't used my phone yet to see what the news is, but, you know, NVIDIA pops, AI pops. Are those going to be the tugboats that bring SoundHound up? I don't know. I think the bare thing to remember is this was a $2 and honestly a sub $2 stock not that long ago. Right? So the fact that this thing is living at 4+, the fact that we're actually still holding that, let me zoom in on it, that, oops, too much of a zoom. We're still holding that crazy doji moment that actually was, again, a bounce point. You know, as long as I guess we don't lose this 100, there's still a lot of good to think. And really, even if we fell all the way to this 320, you know, a lot of the long and strongs are still up 50% at that number, right? So you need to keep things in mind, right? As much as everyone still remembers how fresh the run from down here to 10 was, the longer term reality of the last 2 years was this was basically a sub 2 stock, if not maybe a 2 on average for a while, right? There were moments of 4, lose it, moments of 4, lose it, but we were basically here or lower, right? So just keep some stuff in perspective, right? But yeah, you know I don't like being under any moving averages, let alone 3 of them. Right now, I am kind of thinking we're coming to this $4.34 line. Again, hopefully AI pops and holds. Hopefully NVIDIA keeps going. Hopefully that lifts the sector, right? That's the big thing, you know? I'm thinking right now in my head, and I guess it's a good thing, let me just think out loud a little bit. I don't know if I want to lower this 573 line. Maybe, and what I was thinking in my head was, do I want to lower it to here? That's not a bad move, actually. I'm going to do that. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to basically lower it. Okay, it was the 540. It went a little too high. I'm going to move it based on this. So I went with half of this. It also looked like it hit the top of that. That is, I would say, high enough from these 3 lines to make me believe if we got to that, I'm going to call that a break. So I'm lowering my money line is essentially what I just did, right? I'm not in SoundHound right now. I would not even consider entering until we got over this line. That's a good channel, though. Green, red, green, red. That could be a fast move up, and that's almost a 50% move up right there, right? But otherwise, I think we're just going to kind of ping pong between these and ultimately just kind of ping pong between these 4 lines, right? The worst thing that could happen is lose the 100, because I think losing the 100, that might not hold. Well, that's the super doji moment, so maybe that's actually... Maybe that's a stronger line than I'm giving credit for. I generally give my moving averages way more credit than my lines, because these are just manual and those are obviously computer lines, right? I think that's kind of everything. Interesting place at the weekly. Look at that. There's basically 2 moving averages here. Either like I think it's the exact same thoughts on the daily. Either we're bouncing here and going, or we're dropping. Dude, my cat's getting annoying. I think she's moved to my door now. What are you doing? Get in here. Come in. In or out? Oh my gosh, you went out? She's going to keep meowing. I really apologize. But I think this is a good place to end on SoundHound. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. I'm going to really quickly look at AI. I'm sorry, I'm like using my phone right now to grab the news. I'm curious to see what's going on. before I get into the after hours pop, right? Let's just kind of talk about the realities of before what happened, right? There's a rhyme I love, right? It's one of the baseline, parts of my trading strategy. If you break all five of these up, you will fly, fly, fly. If you lose all of these down, you will die, die, die. And we basically went from 30 to 20. I mean, that's a 33% drop, and you can see that happened over just, a couple weeks, to say anything, right? So that's die to me, right? Losing 33% is never a good thing. All of a sudden, we start to make a solid recovery, right? And again, we were trying to do the opposite. We were trying to break all five and fly. Little bit of a rejection on that 100 moving average, but hey, lo and behold, we're getting this pop that's seemingly calming down now, but clearly at some points of the after hours pop, we were over the 200 moving average, right? I'm grabbing my phone. Let me see if there's anything else on the Discord. No. Excuse me. Let's see what the news is. Okay, some earnings highlights that I can see on my phone right now. Sorry, my phone is loading. Oh, that's a poor internet job right there. Okay, what are the key highlights? So, fourth quarter revenue, it was up 20% year over year, and it actually beat the estimate. That's solid. The estimate was 84.4, but the break was actually, wow, I'm saying that so poorly. They estimated 84 million. They actually hit 86 million. That's awesome. Subscription numbers are up for C3 AI. That's interesting. Their fifth consecutive quarter of accelerating revenue growth. That's they're saying that the demand for their AI infrastructure has them it gives them a good market advantage. They're first to market with something. All right, sorry, I'm just kind of reading news that I'm sure you're seeing. I'm seeing a bunch of really good headlines here, actually. They actually have almost $1 billion in cash and cash equivalents. I'm not seeing the earnings per share. That's the only thing I'm actually not seeing. Where was the earnings per share? Interesting. Okay. Those were all real good highlights. I think all of those really did warrant a pop-up, right? And again, I'm going to go into the 1 minute of the post-market. You can see it. We break them all and fly because of the news, right? And yeah, like I said, I just read off a whole mess of really good headlines. The peak of this was 2740, give or take. I should have got the exact number, right? But again, you can see the peak here was that 2740 and change that I just mentioned, right? So this got us over them all during the post market. It's cooling a little bit, but I'm curious to see what it does, right? The other thing that happens, take a look at this, right? We're now starting to change the indicators a little bit. All of a sudden, there's way more buying. That's changing this from a red volume day to a green volume day. We actually are getting a nice little curl with the green over red on the MACD. And that basically on the RSI, and that basically saved the MACD from slipping into the negative, right? It actually looked like MACD was hungry and ready to basically lose it tomorrow. No. MACD gets a little bit stronger and is almost kissing a break of that red line, right? So I'm liking this. Let's confirm in the morning and, go from there, right? I don't even need to draw new lines. I think these are the lines we're going for. If this can break 28, I think that would be I can even lower that. Let's take that to there. This is our money line. I think $27.90. If we can break $27.90, there's about a 20% move up to that next line around 33. And yeah, I mean, that's a real healthy channel, right? I'm about to say red, 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 green, green, green a bunch of times, but I think you can see it right there, right? So 27.90, let's look for that tomorrow's close, or hey, maybe a good midday break that makes you believe, all right? So let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Hey, thank you so much.